Welcome back to another segment of Don't Do That with Broker Bob. We do have Bob on the line, so what do you have for us today, Broker Bob?
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm here. Yes, I'm here in my sheltered place where we all are, I guess. As a matter of fact, Bernadette and I are going to find another place to shelter in. We've been doing that all weekend. So there's a lot of nice houses out there for sale, by the way. Um, Here's one. The first thing I have here. This is one that we went and made an offer on. Was listed for 420,000 and we offered 4 and we got it for 405. And we thought it looked pretty darn nice because it's where we used to live over there in the place that she likes best. And we made the offer and we looked around here and found that we needed to get an inspection. So we had Randy McMichael come over and do an inspection for us. And it had lots of good things to offer. Beautiful move-in ready home. It has all kinds of things. It even has a spa. It had a gazebo, all kinds of nice stuff on a corner lot. So we wanted to move in there. We took a look and we got the inspection. And oh my goodness, this place was not what it was represented to be. Even says it's got 4 bedrooms. It doesn't. It said it had an additional office separate from the bedrooms. Very well kept home. Water softener. The water softener hasn't been hooked up for years. It may have one there, but it doesn't work. A drinking water filter system, that don't work either. Of course, we couldn't see any of that until we got the inspection. This is crazy. All this stuff it says it's got, it even has a disposal. Yeah, there's one there that doesn't work. Dishwasher, you open it up and it just falls down. And it doesn't work. Nothing works. Has a pool table included, and the pool table is dead. It was something else. And so after we looked at all that, we decided just to cancel this because I did not want to start working on a doggone house. And so we canceled it. And then Bernadette got to looking, and I hope this never happens at West USA, because if it does, you get to come in and you and I are going to talk about it. So here's a listing, and she started looking up stuff here, and she found the old listing on this from 2007. That's 13 years ago. And that's what they did. They copied that listing and put it in the MLS. For crying out loud. Too doggone lazy to take a real listing and do the right thing. And I doubt that the seller knows all of this. Of course, he had to sign papers, which they sent over, and they did send it by electronic signatures and stuff. So I suppose he didn't know what was going on, just listed his house, wanted to get it sold and move out of there. Now it's off the market for a while. So I don't know what they're doing now. But that is one of those things I just can't believe that they would do this. But here we got both listings out now, the new one and the old one from 07. And they're exactly the same. All the words are exactly the same. So that was a blow to us. We were really irritated by that. We spent $445 to get an inspection on that, and it was well worth the money. I think they ought to return the money to me, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. And then we finally get a seller's disclosure statement. Well, after we canceled it, then they sent it over to us. And the guy fessed up. Yeah, everything that we found, he wrote it in here and said these things don't work. Well, if I'd have had that first, then it would have stopped me right there from going any farther with it. Would never wrote an offer on it, I guess. Oh man, some things are just irritating as can be. So this is something else that comes in, and I start thinking about this because agents ask me, in case somebody doesn't want to get an inspection, which is ridiculous, you got to get an inspection. But here it is, a buyer's waiver of inspections. That's on the Binzer. Yeah, that's okay if you have them sign that. They're not going to get an inspection. They're just going to do their own inspection. That's fine. Keep that in your own file. Don't pass that around. Just hang on to it. So that isn't something you give to the other brokers. Of course, we may have to at one point, but not right now. So there's a first couple of items about inspections. Don't fail to get that inspection. Then I got right after that, here comes a counter offer in. Somebody sent it to me and says, is this okay? He's making a counter offer to a transaction, $429,000 deal. And he says here, earnest money to be $4,000. And then in parentheses, he puts in there 1% of the price is standard for earnest money. No, nothing is standard. Don't put that in there. It looks like we're fixing things or something. Realtors are getting together and fixing things. Don't do that. Just don't do it. I don't know. And then the next thing he puts in here is close of escrow to be on, and then the stupid words, or before. Well, it already says on. Just leave it on and don't put or before. Don't do that. Well, what if the buyer is ready to close a week before the seller is ready to close, and the buyer says, I want to close today. Well, the seller says, I don't even have a truck. I'm not ready to go. And you get this big argument going. So you see, that's not exact. It needs to be exact. Close of escrow will be on a certain day. So I don't like to see or before. I just don't like that because that leaves an open argument right there. Next thing, refrigerator, washer, and dryer will not convey. Well, that's okay. That's not a problem. But then he goes on and writes out other stuff. It says, these items were excluded on the MLS, that they would not be part of the sale of the property. Don't explain things like that. You don't need to write that in there. And you know, this is a counter offer and it's exact. And then the next one, this is the worst one. Escrow company to be, and he puts it in here. If it's going to be here, it's going to be at exactly at 3900 East Camelback Road, and the phone numbers and everything. Oh, for crying out loud. That's a RESPA violation. As a matter of fact, if you go into legal hotline, it tells you here, seller violates RESPA by dictating title company for a transaction. They tell you how to do this. Suggest maybe that a title company would be good to use. That's okay. But then if you do that, if you do say, I'm going to have this title company or no title company, well, yeah, you can do that if you do it this way. Buyer may choose to purchase Alta lender policy anywhere they choose. But title insurance covering the property will be purchased from a certain title company. Now that's what you could put in there, and you would get away from the RESPA thing. You've got to allow the buyer to purchase title insurance wherever they want. And we got this thing way back. You listened to Michelle Lind last week where she got this thing for me many, many years ago. And it still is exact, just like it was back then. HUD response regarding RESPA enforcement policies by Michelle Lind, General Counsel of AAR at that time. So that's a long-standing thing. You don't want to dictate the title company for sure, and I don't know why you do that, but most agents are insistent on certain title companies. Then the next one here, appraisal to be ordered within 3 days of contract acceptance. Oh, what the heck is this? I don't want to order an appraisal yet. I want to check the house out and see if I'm actually going to buy it. I'm doing inspections and whatnot. I don't want to put money in there and it says this is to be paid for. Buyer's lender, who is not part of the contract, by the way, to email the listing agent a receipt the appraisal was paid for and ordered. Oh, sometimes folks need to go to a good contract class and make sure that we don't do some of these things. So, but you know what it's good for? It's good for teaching and telling others, watch out for stuff like this and don't let it happen. So that's one thing that comes good out of it, that we do talk about it and see what's going to happen next. Oh, yes. Here's counteroffer number 3. This is on a different transaction. It says, and this is crazy, but this is the way they do things in this certain area here where this came from. It says that the buyer to furnish a copy of a credit report no more than 30 days old to seller for seller's approval within 24 hours of acceptance. And also, buyer to furnish 2 recent verifiable rental references, and this was a sale, by the way, and 2 or 3 professional references, whatever that means, within 24 hours for seller's approval. Well, as we went along here, seller didn't approve of anything. So the agent called me up and said, hey, Bob, how do we cancel this? I can't find a cancellation form. What do we do? The seller wants to cancel this. So I knew the answer, but I called legal hotline just to make sure that this was the answer, that they would say so. And we have a notice disclosure. So that's what you need to use there, and you disclose here that we don't approve of this stuff and we're canceling the contract. And that'll take care of you. So that's a good form. I'm glad that one came out and we're able to use it. So, and then of course you can find Arizona Realtors brings you standard forms. Here's about, I don't know how many pages here, 6, 7 pages of forms, the names of the forms here. So I always have these ready to go so I can look through here real quick without having to get into the computer. And I can tell what the forms are. That's when I found out there was no cancellation form. So I just went through this and there's nothing in there. I didn't think there was a cancellation form, but that proves it. And then we get this quite often, move in and move out condition checklist. When you rent a property to someone, do you have them fill this thing out? They got to give it to the landlord within 5 days. And it tells what everything is good, bad, or other, whatever, move in and move out condition. And then keep a copy of it so that you can fill it out when you move out. So this is an important form. Move in, move out, condition checklist. There's 6 pages of this. And many times People move out of a house and they say, I left it in much better condition than what it was when I moved in. Everybody says that, but they didn't fill out the move in, move out checklist. It's something that needs to be taken care of, and don't take it lightly. This is important that these things be done. Now I've got another form here which just came out. It's from the Marcus Millichap. That's a commercial firm that puts this out. It's from their blog. IRS loosens timelines for 1031 exchange buyers. They're giving you around 3 extra months to get that property purchased. I think they give you 6 months to do it, and they're going to give you an extra 3 months because of issues called coronavirus and whatnot. And, you know, if you want to subscribe to something that's really neat, and I get this all the time, this Marcus Millichap thing. It's the HTTPS blog dot marcusmillichap.com. And I like to keep that coming because I get it every week. I get some more good stuff from Marcus Millichap. I like it. And if you want to kind of keep up on the markets and what's going on, and they do some great work in figures and whatnot, and reports and everything you need. It kind of keeps your brain going so that you got this in front of you. The one of the problems I've noticed that happens is there's a lot of non-refundable earnest money. I hate non-refundable earnest money sometimes. Recently, we've had 20,000 and we've had 25,000 non-refundable. Well, no matter what happens, it seems like the agent on the other side wants to try to capture that money for their client when it's non-refundable, but there are ways to get out of this. There's still contingencies in the contract. So you have to make sure you know what you're doing here, and does it eliminate those contingencies? If the contingencies are still left, well, then it's refundable, or is it? To create an issue here that sometimes we have to go to legal hotline to try to figure out from the lawyers where we're at. Now, here's the thing about it. If the other side can capture that earnest money, you do understand that the broker on the other side gets half of it. That's in the listing form. It's on line 125, 126, 127, 128. Failure to complete. It's on the listing form, and the agent gets or the firm gets half of it. So think about that when you put in their non-refundable earnest money and you get your client to go for it. Yeah, I don't like it, but sometimes it's what they do. Then there's a lot of COVID-19 stuff coming up, and we do have paperwork to help you on that. Coming down from AAR, Corona's COVID addendum, and there's 2 different ways you can go there. And Dwayne explained this on a webinar the other day. Pretty much doesn't exactly like that too much. He says he's not a fan of automatic extensions, so he wrote a different one that if you want it, of course, you can ask for it, and we'll certainly give it to you. It's a little bit different, not much different, but anyway. We want to make sure that we do a good job on all of this stuff, because it's tough. Hold on a second while I take a drink of water. Okay, and then the legal update about moving people out of our property. And we got that from the attorneys, a whole holiday and holiday, which is pretty good notice is what they're telling us. Sometimes you can go ahead with these things and sometimes not. So if anybody wants a copy of that, it's, excuse me, comes from April 3rd, eviction notice. So we have to be real careful of what we do there. Then I'll send you a copy if you care for it. Just brokerbob@cox.net. And I'm happy to send copies of anything I have here. And then I've had two people this past week that have had a problem with, they're trying to get money through a Binzer. So I copied these all from AAR online. Request by buyer in the Binzer for money is improper. And it talks about it here. And then another one here, request for credit still improper through a Binzer. Like trying to get your sales price down or something, and then we'll forego any kind of repairs. Reduction in purchase price in lieu of repairs is an offer to amend the contract. Well, you don't do that on a Binzer. That's something you'd have to do with the contract. Make an addendum to the purchase contract that you're going to give money. But then, of course, if you do that, well, now you got a problem because the lender may not like it. So that's, well, as a matter of fact, they won't like it. You stop and think about it. If they're putting out $300,000-$400,000 on a house and it needs repairs, they're not going to like that at all. Their underwriters aren't going to go with that. Here's one. One of the gals says somebody moved out. Her seller moved out of a house and left some stuff behind. And she says, "Oh, you need to come and get that." She says, "I don't want that stuff." Well, you have to take it. And why do I? Because it's in the contract that you need to get it out of there. Line 195, 196. All personal property not included in the sale and debris will be removed from the premises. So you got to get that stuff out of there. And what can happen if you don't? Well, you can get a cure notice on it. And after a cure notice, you can probably go to, as I call it, monkey court, which means small claims court, Judge Judy, and regain whatever it cost you to clean that stuff up. Take it away. By the way, we got something good coming on here. Let's see, April 22nd, Tina Tambor will be speaking from 10 to 11 in a Zoom meeting. And I don't know how to get this thing to you, but if you want a copy of this was sent to me by a lender that I know is a friend of mine. And you can sign into this thing. This is Wednesday, April 22nd from 10 to 11, a Zoom meeting. And I'm in it. I'm going to see what's going on there. Who wouldn't want to do that? But send me an email, brokerbob@cox.net, and I'll shoot it to you so you can sign up for that one and sit and listen. Well, you have to be home anyway, so why don't you do it? Yeah, that's one way one way of looking at it. And then coming on Friday, April 17th, this is really interesting. From NAR, Dr. Lawrence, I don't know if it's Yoon or Yun. Dr. Lawrence Yun addresses Arizona realtors, insights for Arizona's housing forecast for 2020. So I think that's going to be interesting too. It's only on for a half an hour, but I've signed Bernadette and myself up to it. It's 12:30 to 1 on Friday. So you may want to listen to that one too. I think it's pretty good, or it will be. Let's see, it's 1:34. Have I talked 20 minutes yet?
You've talked about 20 minutes, Bob, but if you want a little bit longer, you can keep going.
Well, okay. Well, we're having one more thing. We're having problems with appraisals that come in. It's ridiculous. And one thing I've got here that I can give everybody if they'll ask me for it, and Paul Moore prepared this thing, and he gets his appraisals in all the time. I don't think he's ever missed more than one or two in many, many years, because he has preparing the appraisal home book. He's got 14 different things that he does, and I'm happy to send that to you. And if you work it like he says here, just like this, and you'll be surprised at your appraisals. The appraisers appreciate the help with the appraisal, believe it or not. And we had one of the appraisals come in. There was a house at 285,000, I think, and the appraisal come in 39,000 low. Oh my goodness, the agent was furious. It was a beautiful home with upgrades all over the place on a corner lot, and $39,000 low, and they couldn't come to an agreement. So she sold the house next door to that, owned by the same lady. And the house next door wasn't even close to being nice like the first one. Appraisal come in at 285, right on the money. So the buyer was wondering what's going on here. Who is double dealing all of this stuff? So get this appraisal home book. And I've had Paul out to talk about this out at the Arrowhead meeting before, and at the Mesa meeting. And a lot of agents use his information sheet. It's only one sheet here, preparing the appraisal home book. It's pretty nice stuff. Paul has been doing this for many, many, many years. So I think I'll just call it quits right here. I'm glad to have been with you today, and be sure and check into Tina Tambor by sending me an email, and also Dr. Lawrence Yun. That has got to be a couple of really nice Zoom meetings this week. And I'll be on myself on Friday at 10 o'clock at Mesa, probably doing the same thing that I'm doing right now, but we'll talk. And when it's on Zoom, you can see who you're talking to, and sometimes they have questions, and it's a little better that way. I like being able to speak to the agents if I can, because this is weird, just sitting here talking to my screen. There's nothing there. Wow. Oh, well. Thank you very much. And see you next Friday, I guess, some of you. Bye-bye.